A mysterious human warship appeared. Every galactic empire paid the price. The stars were calm that morning, shining like small diamonds scattered across black silk. In the center of the galactic core, where the great council of empires met, the usual quiet was broken by a sudden, strange blip on the scanners. It was a single ship, moving slower than any known warp vessel, yet somehow it appeared in places that should have been impossible. Captain Ethan Cole leaned forward in his chair on the bridge of his observation ship, his brow furrowed. He had seen hundreds of vessels in his career, but nothing like this. The hull was smooth, almost organic in shape, reflecting starlight like glass. There were no visible weapons, no markings of any empire, and yet it radiated a quiet, dangerous energy. "Captain, I don't know what it is," said Lieutenant Ryan Brooks, his voice tight. "Scans show no energy signatures like weapons or engines we recognize." It doesn't behave like any known craft." Ethan shook his head. "It's human," he said quietly. The bridge went silent. Every officer turned to him. "Human," said Lieutenant Cara Mills, clearly confused. "Humans. They're not even considered a spacefaring civilization in this sector. Their colonies are tiny. Their ships barely reach other systems." "I know," Ethan said, his voice low but firm. "That's exactly why we need to watch it carefully. I don't know who built it or why it is here, but this ship alone, it could change everything." On the screens, the mysterious vessel slowly moved closer to the center of the council system. Each empire's fleet had been stationed there to observe a meeting about trade disputes, border conflicts, and minor skirmishes. No one had expected an unknown human warship to appear in their midst. Commander Lily Grant, the ship's science officer, frowned at her console. "Captain, it's sending a transmission, multiple frequencies all at once. I'm decoding it now." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Read it aloud." Lily adjusted her headset and began. "This is a message from humanity. We have observed the galaxy for centuries. We have watched empires exploit weaker species, enslave worlds, and wage war for profit. Humanity has decided it will no longer remain hidden. The galaxy will recognize that we are present. You have been warned." The message ended. The bridge went silent. No one spoke for a long moment. "That's it," Ryan said finally. "No demands, no threats, just a warning." Ethan shook his head. "Warnings are dangerous. The empires don't take warnings seriously. They never have. They will think this is a bluff. That it's some small, experimental vessel with no real power." Across the system, the alien fleets reacted quickly. Admiral Kor, a leader of the powerful Virelian Empire, barked orders to his ships. "Form ranks, move to intercept. That ship is a threat, no matter what it says." Hundreds of ships began moving, creating a wall of steel and energy between the human vessel and the council system. Sensors lit up with alerts as every vessel tracked the mysterious ship's movements. Yet, despite all their efforts, the human warship did something impossible. It disappeared. One moment it was visible on every scanner, and the next it was gone. "What in the universe?" Ryan muttered, staring at the blank screen where the ship had been. Ethan didn't answer. He watched carefully. Seconds later, the ship reappeared, right inside the center of the alien formation. Every fleet was stunned. Hundreds of ships were suddenly surrounded by a single, unknown human vessel, and yet not a single weapon fired from it. Commander Lily Grant's eyes widened. It's inside their formation. How? I don't understand." Ethan didn't answer immediately. He studied the movement patterns. "Whatever it is, it doesn't move like a normal ship. It can appear where it wants. It can go anywhere faster than their sensors can track." On the alien bridge, chaos spread. Alarms blared, lights flashed, and commanders shouted over one another. The Virelians and the other empires scrambled to respond. Missiles and energy beams fired at the ship, but as soon as the weapons touched its shields, the energy was redirected. Some beams bounced back and struck their own ships, causing damage and confusion. "This isn't a warship in the normal sense," Ethan said. It's something far beyond any technology they've ever seen." The human ship made no aggressive moves. It moved through the fleets as if they were invisible. Entire squadrons found themselves cut off from each other, trapped in positions that were impossible to escape. The humans weren't attacking. They were controlling the battlefield with something the empires had never imagined. In the council hall, representatives of the galactic empires argued fiercely. "This is an outrage. Humans have no right to interfere in our affairs," said Ambassador Ral, his voice trembling with anger. "Are you blind?" another responded. They could destroy every ship here if they wanted. They're warning us. We need to listen. Back on Ethan's ship, he leaned back in his chair. It's not about power, he said. It's about sending a message. They're showing the galaxy what they can do, but they're not trying to kill anyone, yet. Lieutenant Ryan Brooks shook his head. But if one of these empires decides to attack again? Ethan didn't finish the thought. He already knew the answer. The human warship would respond, and the results would be devastating. Suddenly, the communications console beeped. It was a live feed from the human ship. A calm voice, female and confident, filled the bridge. To all empires of the galaxy, cease your aggressive maneuvers immediately. Humanity does not seek war, but it will not tolerate arrogance or cruelty. Consider this your final warning. Every empire paused. Even the most militant leaders understood that this was not a bluff. Every sensor showed the human warship was capable of bending space, disrupting engines, and rendering fleets helpless. In the human ship, Captain Cole's crew worked quietly but efficiently. Lieutenant Ryan Brooks adjusted energy flows, ensuring the shields remained stable. Commander Lily Grant monitored the alien fleets, calculating their weaknesses and predicting movements. No one spoke unnecessarily. Every action had purpose. Ethan thought back to the centuries of human history, the wars, the suffering, the times humanity had been underestimated. This was their chance to show the galaxy that humans were not weak. That underestimated species could rise and command respect. On the observation screens, alien ships tried new strategies. They formed circles, moved in waves, tried to overwhelm the human warship with numbers. Each attempt failed. The human vessel anticipated every move, slipping through gaps in formation, disabling engines, or forcing ships to surrender without firing a single shot directly. In the chaos, Ethan noticed something else. The humans weren't destroying the fleets. They were crippling them, leaving crews alive, leaving ships intact but powerless. It was a lesson in restraint, a demonstration of control. Lieutenant Kara Mills spoke up. "Captain, look at this. They're recording everything. Every ship, every move, every leader." "This footage, it's being broadcast across the galaxy." Ethan nodded. "Exactly. This is not just a warning. It's a message to every empire. Humanity has arrived, and it's not to be taken lightly." The alien commanders argued among themselves, blaming each other for mistakes. Plans shifted every minute, but the human ship continued to move calmly, always in control. It was as if the ship had a mind of its own, guided by something far beyond human understanding. Yet Ethan knew it was very human. Hours passed, though time felt different. The alien fleets could not leave, could not attack successfully, and could not communicate without their transmissions being monitored and disrupted. Panic replaced pride. The empires had never faced anything like this. Finally, one of the alien admirals shouted, "Cease fire." "Stand down." The order was met with resistance, but the humans did not attack. The mere presence of the ship had forced obedience. Ethan exhaled, feeling a weight lift slightly. He did not know who had built the human warship or where it had come from. He only knew that it had changed the balance of power in the galaxy in one day. Lily Grant broke the silence. "Captain, the message, the humans are making it clear. They are not here to conquer. They are here to teach the galaxy a lesson." Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes. A lesson the galaxy will not forget." As the stars continued to shine outside, the human warship hovered silently at the center of the council system. Every empire, from the largest militaristic nations to the smallest trade alliances, had witnessed it. Every fleet had felt its power. Every leader had understood that the human species was no longer weak. And somewhere inside that strange, smooth hull, the humans were watching, waiting, calculating, preparing for the next moment when the galaxy might need to be reminded that one underestimated species could make all the difference. The mysterious human warship had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy was not used to fear. Empires fought wars for pride, resources, and power, and the appearance of a single human warship had shaken them to the core. Yet, some leaders still believed they could challenge it. The Virelian Empire, one of the strongest military powers, gathered its fleet in a massive formation near the outer rim of the council system. Admiral Kor stood on the command bridge of his flagship, towering over other officers. His voice was hard, filled with pride and anger. "We will show these humans that no single ship can control the galaxy. Prepare to engage. All weapons to full power." In the human ship, Captain Ethan Cole watched the movements of the alien fleets on his displays. Lieutenant Ryan Brooks adjusted the energy flows to the ship's shielding systems, while Commander Lily Grant calculated enemy positions. The humans had no intention of starting a war, but they would defend themselves if attacked. Ethan spoke quietly to his officers. "They want to fight, let them. We will not attack first, but we will stop them if they move against us." The alien fleets moved with speed and precision, a wave of hundreds of warships converging toward the human ship. They fired energy beams, missiles, and guided torpedoes, all aimed to destroy it at once. Every weapon fired, however, bounced off or malfunctioned. The human ship bent space around itself, creating zones where enemy projectiles simply could not exist. Ryan Brooks could barely keep up. "Captain, they're trying every type of weapon we've ever recorded. Missiles, plasma, ion cannons, nothing is working." "Good," Ethan replied. "Let them learn quickly. We do not destroy without reason. We only stop them." Commander Lily Grant pointed at the holographic display. "Captain, they're dividing their fleets. Some are trying to flank us, others are attacking from behind, but their coordination is poor. They are panicking even while they fight." Ethan nodded. "Exactly. Fear is already spreading. Humans are underestimated in every empire. This will teach them otherwise." The first clash was quiet, almost elegant in its terror. The human ship did not fire weapons in the normal sense. Instead, it created localized gravitational distortions. Alien ships found themselves unable to move, their engines failing. Energy beams warped, turning back and striking their own fleets. The Virelians and other species screamed orders, but nothing worked. A massive cruiser from the Arden Empire fired a full volley of plasma at the human ship. Seconds later, the ship itself was spinning, its energy shields offline, and hundreds of crew members trapped in emergency hatches. The human vessel had not even touched it directly. It had simply manipulated the battlefield in ways no alien had imagined. Ethan's voice was calm on the bridge. "They will learn that strength without understanding is useless." As the battle continued, the human ship moved through the fleets with precision. It did not destroy the ships, but it made them useless. Engines failed, weapons misfired, communications cut out. Entire formations became frozen in space, unable to fight or flee. The aliens tried again and again, but every attack failed. Panic replaced courage. Lieutenant Ryan Brooks was busy monitoring energy flows. "Captain, their weapons are adapting. They are firing faster, using combinations we haven't seen. They might overwhelm the shields if we don't adjust." Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. Let's give them a taste of what happens when arrogance meets reality." In the center of the alien fleets, chaos spread. Fleets collided as maneuvers failed. Smaller ships smashed into larger ones, and some admirals were killed by misfired weapons. The humans were not physically attacking, yet they controlled the outcome completely. A small fighter squadron from the Turvan Alliance tried a surprise attack. They launched from multiple directions, hoping to catch the human ship off guard. Lily Grant calculated their trajectory in seconds. "Captain, I can redirect energy flows to create a barrier. They won't reach us." The human ship shifted slightly, almost as if it were moving through invisible currents. The fighters found themselves slowed, trapped, unable to approach. The barrier gently pushed them away, leaving them unharmed but powerless. They surrendered, sending their codes and weapons offline. Ethan spoke over the communication system, his voice calm and firm. "Your attack is noted. Your ships are safe. But if you act with cruelty or arrogance again, you will be stopped." For the first time, some alien officers hesitated. Humans had power beyond imagination, but they were also measured. They did not destroy for pride or revenge. That made them even more dangerous. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, news of the battle spread. Systems that had been controlled by the empires whispered of humans as protectors, not conquerors. Worlds that had been enslaved or oppressed began quietly hoping that humans would intervene. On the bridge of the human ship, Ethan observed the patterns of fear spreading. "They are learning fast," he said, "but fear is not enough. They must understand respect, not just fear." Lily Grant nodded. "We're controlling the battlefield, but we're also sending a message. Look at the recordings. Every fleet, every failure is being documented. The galaxy will see this and no empire will forget." Ethan smiled faintly. "Good, that is exactly the point." The alien fleets regrouped, more carefully this time. They attempted to form a wall, a combined strike, believing that unity could overcome the human ship. Yet the humans had already predicted this. They shifted gravity fields, manipulated light, and created illusions that made fleets collide with each other. Ships that tried to retreat found themselves trapped in invisible currents, forced back into the center of the battle. Admiral Kor was furious. How is this possible? How can a single ship control hundreds of vessels at once? On the human ship, Ryan Brooks smiled faintly. It is possible because they don't understand physics the way humans do. They are bound by rules we have learned to bend. Ethan nodded. And that is why we remain alive. They are trying to fight. They are learning the wrong lesson if they think humans are weak. The humans continued their work carefully. They never destroyed more than necessary. They wanted every alien to remember the lesson without creating unnecessary deaths. This balance of power and mercy was what made the human warship unique. Hours passed and the battle began to wind down. The alien fleets were crippled, their engines damaged, their weapons offline, and their crews terrified. They sent signals begging for mercy. The humans allowed it, broadcasting messages across the galaxy, showing every empire what had happened. Lily Grant watched the transmissions with satisfaction. Every empire will know what humans are capable of. Every leader will remember today. Ethan remained calm. Yes, but this is only the beginning. They have seen power, but they must also see restraint. We show them that humans are strong, but we do not destroy without cause. The alien fleet slowly retreated, leaving the human ship in the center of the council system. Every empire had paid a price, not through destruction, but through humiliation and fear. They had learned that humans were not to be underestimated. As the stars outside returned to their calm shimmer, Ethan spoke quietly to his crew. Remember this day. Remember that humans can rise when the galaxy underestimates them. This is the start of a new order, one where we will not remain hidden and the weak will have hope. Ryan Brooks smiled. Captain, they will never forget us now. No, Ethan said, looking out at the endless stars. They will not, and that is exactly the point. In the silence of space, the human warship floated, its smooth hull gleaming under the light of distant suns. It had proven that one species, underestimated for centuries, could stand against hundreds of empires at once, and it had done so without unnecessary violence. Far across the galaxy, news of the battle reached systems that had been enslaved, worlds that had been oppressed, and people who had never dared hope. They whispered of humans who could protect, who could fight when needed, and who would not let cruelty go unchallenged. Inside the human warship, Captain Ethan Cole stood on the bridge, silent and watchful. His crew worked efficiently, ready for the next challenge. He knew that the galaxy had begun to change. Every empire that had tried to fight them had paid the price of arrogance, and every corner of the galaxy had begun to notice that humans were no longer a weak, hidden species. The battle had ended, but the war for respect, for justice, and for balance in the galaxy was only beginning, and the human warship was ready. The galaxy was quiet in a way it had never been before. The empires that had once been proud and arrogant now whispered in fear. Reports of the human warship's power and control over fleets spread quickly. News traveled faster than light across systems, carried by every communication network, every trader, and every courier. Captain Ethan Cole and his crew watched from the bridge as alien fleets retreated toward their home systems. Lieutenant Ryan Brooks adjusted the energy flows, ensuring the ship remained invisible to long-range scans, while Commander Lily Grant monitored every movement. They did not pursue. The humans had made their point. They could strike anywhere, but they chose restraint. Ethan spoke softly, almost to himself. They understand now. They know we are not weak, but fear alone is not enough. They must understand respect, responsibility, and justice. Lily nodded. Captain, some fleets are sending messages requesting negotiation. They want to meet. They are scared, yes, but also curious. They want to know why humans act this way. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Good. Send a message that we are open to dialogue, but make it clear, we will not tolerate threats, slavery, or cruelty. Humanity is no longer hidden, and we will act if injustice continues. A week passed, and a delegation of alien leaders approached cautiously. The delegation included representatives from the Virelian Empire, the Turvan Alliance, and smaller systems that had been trapped or crippled during the battle. They arrived in a convoy of small, unarmed ships, careful to remain non-threatening. Ambassador Daniel Harris was chosen to meet Captain Cole. He was a skilled negotiator, human, and experienced in interstellar diplomacy. As he stepped aboard the human ship, he felt the strange calm of the vessel. Its smooth walls reflected the lights of distant stars, and the air was quiet, almost reverent. Captain Cole greeted him simply. "Welcome aboard. We will speak openly, but know this: humanity does not threaten unless threatened. We act to correct injustice and protect the weak." Ambassador Harris nodded. "Understood, Captain. Many of the empires we represent have underestimated your species. They have enslaved planets, exploited worlds, and ignored smaller civilizations. We understand now that humans are not to be taken lightly." Ethan gestured for him to sit. "We have observed the galaxy for centuries. Humans did not intervene before because we were hidden, watching, learning, but enough is enough. You cannot rule through cruelty and expect no consequences." Across the galaxy, reports of these negotiations reached enslaved worlds. Colonies that had been oppressed began quietly hoping for human intervention. Resistance groups whispered about the possibility that the humans could free them, protect them, and enforce justice in a way the empires never had. The alien leaders listened, tense and uneasy. "Captain Cole," said Admiral Core of the Violins, his voice controlled but sharp, "your actions have shown your power, but why spare us? Why not destroy us completely? We are your enemies." Ethan looked at him steadily. "We are not here to destroy, we are here to correct. Arrogance and cruelty must be punished, but needless death is not the answer. You must understand the consequences of your actions without losing your capacity to change." Lieutenant Ryan Brooks watched as Core's hands clenched at the table. The Violian admiral was used to enforcing fear with power, but humans had shown him that intelligence, strategy, and restraint could be more dangerous than destruction. Commander Lily Grant spoke next. "We have scanned your systems, your fleets, and your colonies. Many worlds under your control are suffering. Humans will help if you allow it, but we will also take action where injustice continues." The alien leaders exchanged uneasy glances. Some of their systems had secretly relied on human oversight to avoid collapse. Others had built industries that harmed planets and enslaved populations. Now they realized humans had been watching all along. Ambassador Harris leaned forward. "Captain, some of our leaders are afraid. They fear retaliation. They fear humans acting as judges or executioners." "How can they trust that humans will act fairly?" Ethan's expression was firm. "Humans act with fairness because we have learned the value of life. We do not seek conquest, but we will stop injustice. You have a choice. Continue oppression and we will act. Change your ways and we will respect you. The choice is yours." Outside the human ship, the fleets waited. No one dared attack. The humans had proven that they could control hundreds of ships at once without firing a single shot directly. Every empire had learned that one underestimated species could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Weeks passed, and small victories began to show. Human teams boarded previously enslaved colonies, dismantling oppressive regimes and restoring autonomy to the people. They did not destroy infrastructure unnecessarily. They taught the former rulers and their militaries to manage fairly, giving them a chance to redeem themselves. Across multiple systems, alien civilians whispered of humans as protectors, not conquerors. Planets that had been exploited for centuries began to see hope. Resistance groups reached out discreetly, offering information and cooperation. The humans did not ask for loyalty, they only asked for justice. Inside the human warship, Ethan watched the data streams. "Every empire will remember us now," he said. "But we must be careful. Power without wisdom can be dangerous. We will act, but we will act with balance." Lily Grant agreed. "Captain, the fleets are beginning to respect us more than they fear us. That is a rare thing in this galaxy. Fear is temporary. Respect lasts longer." The alien leaders continued to meet with the humans. Some offered treaties, technology exchanges, and pledges to avoid cruelty. Others were less willing but recognized that open conflict would lead to disaster. Every empire had paid the price in fear, and now they were paying the price in cooperation. Ambassador Harris reported to Ethan, "Captain, it is remarkable. They are beginning to listen. The empires are changing behavior, even before any direct enforcement. Just your presence is making them reconsider decisions that have harmed billions." Ethan nodded slowly. "That is the point. Humanity does not conquer with violence. We conquer with presence, intelligence, and moral strength. The galaxy must see that we act for balance, not pride. Small rebellions broke out on previously enslaved worlds. Humans assisted quietly, providing guidance, protection, and support. These interventions were not publicized immediately. The humans wanted the galaxy to understand that power could be used responsibly, not as a weapon of fear alone. Admiral Kor, once proud and aggressive, now met with the humans openly. "Captain, I admit, we misjudged you." Humans have power, yes, but more importantly, they have purpose. Ethan nodded. "That is what makes humans dangerous, Admiral. Power without purpose is empty. We act to protect, to enforce fairness, and to remind the galaxy that cruelty has consequences." The weeks turned into months, and the reputation of the human warship grew. Every empire, from the largest to the smallest, knew that humans had arrived. They had seen fleets crippled without loss of life, leaders humbled without execution, and worlds liberated without chaos. Lieutenant Ryan Brooks watched the systems being stabilized. "Captain, it is incredible. Entire empires are changing because of what we have done, not because we destroyed them, but because they saw the consequences of their actions." Ethan's eyes were thoughtful. "Yes. That is what humans do best. We endure, we adapt, and when necessary, we act. The galaxy has learned its first lesson. We will continue to teach more." In the quiet moments, Lily Grant worked on mapping systems where injustice remained. She and Ryan would plan future interventions carefully. No human would act without reason, and no planet would be punished unnecessarily. They were not conquerors, they were guardians. Far across the galaxy, some leaders tried to resist change. They plotted in secret, trying to hide abuses, fearing the human presence. But the humans had eyes and sensors everywhere. They were patient. Justice did not need haste, it needed precision. As the human warship floated silently in orbit above a previously enslaved planet, Ethan spoke to his crew. "We have shown the galaxy what humans can do, but this is only the beginning. One ship cannot enforce change everywhere at once. We will be careful, deliberate, and just." The crew nodded. They understood that they carried a responsibility unlike any other species in the galaxy. Every action would be remembered, every intervention studied. Humans were no longer hidden. They were a force that demanded attention, respect, and accountability. The alien empires began to understand that the humans were not seeking conquest, not seeking power for themselves. They were enforcing balance, protecting the weak, and correcting injustice. Fear remained, but now it was mixed with respect and cautious hope. Captain Ethan Cole looked out at the stars and spoke softly. "The galaxy will remember today. Every empire, every leader, every oppressed world, they will remember that humans act with purpose. They will remember that one species can make a difference." And somewhere in the silent void of space, the human warship waited, ready to act where injustice continued, patient and vigilant, ensuring that the galaxy would never forget that humans had arrived. Years had passed since the first appearance of the human warship in the Galactic. Core. The empires had changed, some slowly, others faster than anyone expected. Fear had turned into cautious respect, and respect had begun to become a new form of order in the galaxy. Captain Ethan Cole stood on the bridge of the human warship, looking at the stars. The vessel had traveled to hundreds of systems over the years, observing, protecting, and occasionally intervening when injustice was too great to ignore. His crew worked quietly around him, disciplined, focused, and loyal. Lieutenant Ryan Brooks adjusted the energy flows to the shields, while Commander Lily Grant monitored distant fleets. They were never idle. The humans had learned long ago that power without vigilance could be wasted, and that even small injustices could grow into major threats. Ethan spoke softly, almost to himself. "We have changed the galaxy, not by war, not by conquest, but by presence and action. The empires remember. They fear what we can do, but they also know that we act for fairness, not pride." Lily nodded. "Captain, some empires are cooperating now more than ever. They share resources, technology, and intelligence. Systems that were once under strict control are now thriving with independent governments. Humans are seen as protectors." Ryan smiled faintly. "It's remarkable." "Who would have thought a single ship could have this much influence?" Ethan shook his head. "Not influence, Ryan. Responsibility. That is what humans bring. Power alone is meaningless. The galaxy has learned that humans act with judgment, with purpose. That is what makes us different." Across multiple star systems, the change was clear. Planets once enslaved or exploited had new governments and local leaders trained in fairness and justice. Humans had helped quietly, often without public recognition. They provided advice, protection, and tools, ensuring that worlds could sustain themselves without interference from empires. Some empires tried to resist. Secret factions plotted in shadows, hoping to regain old power, but the human warship always arrived in time. Its presence alone often prevented conflict, as fleets dared not attack and leaders dared not provoke. Every act of defiance was met with careful, measured intervention, ensuring minimal destruction but maximum correction. Captain Ethan Cole thought about the galaxy as he observed the reports. "We have done much," he said, "but we cannot forget that power is not eternal and vigilance is necessary. Every empire, every world, must understand that humans are here, watching, guiding, and ready to act when needed." Lieutenant Brooks looked at the logs of past interventions. "Captain, even when we act, we avoid unnecessary violence. We disable, we correct, we protect. That is why empires respect us more than they fear us now." Ethan nodded. "Yes, balance is the key. Fear alone cannot enforce justice. Respect without power cannot defend it. Humans bring both. That is why the galaxy remembers the first day we appeared, and why it will remember every day we act." In one distant system, a rebellion had been brewing against a minor empire. Citizens were oppressed, resources stolen, and communication cut. When humans arrived, they did not attack immediately. They observed, prepared, and intervened with precision. Systems were restored, leaders were held accountable, and the citizens were freed. The human warship left quietly afterward, leaving behind stability and hope. Everywhere humans went, similar stories unfolded. They did not conquer. They did not impose themselves. They corrected wrongs and left systems capable of sustaining themselves. The galaxy had begun to see humans as guardians, not rulers. In a council hall far from the human ship, alien leaders met again. Admiral Kor of the Virelians spoke quietly to his peers. "We cannot ignore humans. Their power is immense, yes, but more importantly, they act with fairness. We must follow rules we once ignored or face consequences." Other leaders nodded. Some were proud, others fearful, but all understood that the human presence had reshaped politics and power in the galaxy. Treaties were signed, borders respected, and slavery became punishable across multiple systems. Back aboard the human warship, Ethan spoke with Ambassador Daniel Harris, who had spent years assisting humans in their work across the galaxy. Captain Daniel said, "Your actions have changed not only empires but the way people see themselves. Fear once ruled, now respect does. Worlds that were broken are becoming strong." Ethan smiled faintly. "That is the point. Humans do not seek war or conquest. We seek balance. We protect those who cannot defend themselves. We punish those who harm others. That is the human way, and the galaxy is learning it." Lily Grant leaned over a display showing multiple systems under observation. "Captain, reports indicate that empires are now cooperating with each other more than ever. Even minor systems are negotiating trade fairly, sharing resources, and protecting citizens. Humans have set an example." Ethan nodded. "Good, but we must not become complacent. Change is always fragile. There are still those who would exploit, enslave, or wage war if they thought we were not watching." Ryan Brooks adjusted his console. "Captain, sensors detect small fleets trying to reorganize secretly. They think we are far away, but they underestimate our reach. Shall we intervene?" Ethan considered for a moment. "Yes, but carefully. Disable their weapons, separate their fleets, correct their plans, and leave them capable of learning from their mistakes. We do not destroy. We teach." The human warship moved silently through the galaxy, appearing in systems where oppression or injustice had gone unnoticed. Often, alien fleets believed they were safe, only to find their schemes quietly undone. Systems were stabilized, fleets neutralized, and citizens freed, all without major violence. The humans had perfected a method of intervention that was as precise as it was effective. In quiet moments, Ethan reflected on the responsibility they carried. One species, long underestimated, now had the ability to shape the galaxy. That power required wisdom, restraint, and moral clarity. Mistakes could be catastrophic, but humans had learned to act carefully, to plan every move with purpose. The reputation of the human warship spread beyond the empires. Civilizations previously unknown to the galaxy began to seek contact, hoping for protection or guidance. Humans had become symbols of justice, balance, and hope. Worlds once lost to tyranny now looked to the stars and whispered of humans who could protect them. Admiral Kor, once proud and aggressive, now met secretly with humans in neutral systems. "Captain Cole," he said quietly, "you have changed the galaxy without firing a single destructive shot directly. That is power beyond anything we imagined. I admit we misjudged humans." Ethan smiled. "Power is only meaningful when used responsibly. Humans understand that. Others are learning it now." Across hundreds of systems, humans continued their work. They monitored fleets, assisted governments, and ensured that justice remained. They were patient, careful, and precise. They corrected mistakes without causing chaos, restored peace without taking control, and demonstrated that one species, underestimated for centuries, could protect the galaxy while remaining hidden from the spotlight. In a quiet corner of the human warship, Ryan Brooks spoke softly to Lily Grant. "Captain Cole always says we act with balance, but do you think the galaxy will ever truly understand humans?" Lily smiled faintly. "Perhaps not fully, but they will remember us. They will respect us. And that is enough. Fear fades, but respect endures." Ethan stood on the bridge, looking out at the endless stars. He spoke quietly to himself, or perhaps to the galaxy. "Humans are no longer hidden. We act with purpose, wisdom, and restraint. Every empire has learned the price of arrogance, and every world now knows that humans will intervene when needed. That is the future we bring." Years later, the human warship remained a symbol of power, justice, and hope. It appeared where needed, silently correcting wrongs, protecting the weak, and teaching the galaxy that strength without wisdom was meaningless. Humanity had risen, not through conquest, but through intelligence, vigilance, and moral clarity. Across the galaxy, every empire had been reminded of that first day when the mysterious human warship appeared. They had felt its power, experienced its control, and learned its lessons. They had seen humans act not as conquerors, but as guardians. And somewhere in the void of space, the human warship continued its patrol, silent, watchful, and ready. Its mission had never been to dominate, but to enforce balance, correct injustice, and protect life. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Ethan Cole turned to his crew, his voice calm but firm. "The galaxy has changed because humans acted with purpose. Never forget that our actions carry responsibility. We are not rulers but protectors. We are not conquerors but enforcers of balance. And the galaxy will remember humanity forever." The stars stretched endlessly before them, and the human warship moved silently among them. A reminder that one species, once underestimated, could make every empire pay the price of arrogance, and that justice, intelligence, and balance could shape the fate of the stars.